Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to everyone. Once again, it's always nice to see you all again, what we expect to be a very lively and interesting discussion indeed. Respected guests, first of all, Professor Jeff Kenney from the United States, Professor Syed Farid Alatas, Dr. Amran, and of course from IRF himself, Dato Dr. Ahmad Farouk. Friends of IRF, some of you all I've met and we've participated in previous discussions before, and I've also noticed quite a number of new faces and fresh friends from IRF. We are always welcome to meet you all to continue with the important discussions and discourse relates to Islamic reform from now on until to the near future. I'm Ihsan again, introducing myself from the Islamic Renaissance Front. Of course, most of you, I would say, are already familiar with IRF, but for those who are not familiar with IRF, what we do mainly is to promote Islamic reform in our society, in Malaysia mainly, but not just that, we also expand our network and work with other organizations, mainly in the region and also in other countries as well. Another thing which we also focus into is when it comes to advocating the Islamic reform views to the youth mainly, so that hopefully the future of the country and the Muslim society can be improved over time. So today is of course a forum that we are going to have, and definitely it's not the first forum that we have done. IRF started way back in 2000. I think we have already been active in conducting programs and conferences and forums for over the past 5 years. In fact, just rather a few weeks back, we had and also a distinguished scholar, Professor Ibrahim Musa. So he talked about more when it comes to the framework of Islamic reform. And of course, today we're going to have another similar interesting discussion on the topic, which is of course interesting as always, which could also be controversial. The topic, what is wrong with Islam now? A very important topic, which will be discussed in more detail today. I think without further delay, I would like to pass the discussion to our moderator from IRF, Dato Dr. Ahmad Farouk Musa, to describe more about the topic and later introduce the speakers, and I hope we'll have a very good discussion indeed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ihsan. And special welcome to Professor Jeffrey Kenney, who has been here a couple of times, or probably more, and been our guest before. He's an author of the book, The Muslim Rebels. We had done book dissection on that before, and it's not new to us. In fact, the last time when Professor Abdullah Naim came over, he was here as well. And Dr. Amran Muhammad from ISSI, the Islamic Strategic Studies, yeah. Not ISIS, yeah, ISSI. A scholar who had studied in Manchester before, right? And Professor Syed Farid Alatas from the National University of Singapore in the US, and he has been a regular panelist to many of our forums, and he's a writer of, he's an expert of Ibn Khaldun. Basically, I've written a few books on Ibn Khaldun and a few articles as well. And I think it's important, since Ibn Khaldun is a known historiographer and sociologist, and I believe this topic suits very well to his expertise and to those over here, including Dr. Amran, who had written at least 2 papers in refutation of what I had written before, and also the book that we translated, Tertutupnya Pemikiran Kaum Muslimin, which was basically a translation of the book, The Closing of the Muslim Mind. Yeah, this issue is very close to us, it's very dear to us in the IRF. And one of the main reasons why IRF was founded was basically to address this particular issue. It's about the decline of the Muslim civilization, decline of our scientific inquiry among the Muslims itself. So, first slide, please. Yeah. So if you look at the facts, yeah, as early as 100 years after the death of the Prophet, Islam had flourished, yeah, all over North Africa and Asia, in fact, as far as China, right? As far as China and India as well. And of course, later on, it came to the Malay archipelago of Indonesia and Malaya at that time. So, I mean, the thing is that, like, Islam at one time, we knew about the history of the Muslims during the time of the, what they call, the Mu'tazila, right? During the time of Mu'tazila of the second empire, that is the Abbasids, especially during the reign of Al-Ma'mun, right? He established what is known as an intellectual center among the Muslims world at the time. That is Baitul Hikmah, or known in English as the House of Wisdom, right? Books have been written. Books had been written about this House of Wisdom, and people have been debating about it. And during that time, you know, the West mainly learned a lot about Islamic civilizations, and many books were being translated. And if you look about history, then you will know, as Ibn Khaldun has stated, that, you know, civilization will of course, it will go up and down, right? And that's what happened, right? So when the decline of the Muslim civilization, then we saw at that time that the Western civilization started to improve themselves. And now they're still, you know, basically producing scientific literatures, progressing in science and technology, in a lot of other aspects of humanities, except that the Muslim is being left behind. Next one, please. So what went wrong? People have argued about the situation of the Muslims. What basically that people thought that had went wrong at that time? Some gave the idea that it was the fault of the European colonization. Right? Muslim countries were being invaded by the Western colonialists, and the British, the Spanish, the Portuguese, and so on and so forth, and they occupied Muslim land, right? And second was, they said that the worst before the invasion of or colonization of the West, it was basically the Mongols, who had destroyed destroyed Baghdad, and had turned the river of Tigris and Euphrates, the color, into black, because, you know, the books of the Muslim scholars were being dumped into the rivers, and it changed the water of the rivers. So, but these two propositions that have been said by many scholars were refuted by Dr. Muhammad Omar Chapra. I believe some of you are from UIA, and if you are studying in the School of Economics in UIA, you know this Dr. Omar Chapra, right? And I believe there's a former director of Islamic Development Bank over here. Yeah, and I believe Dr. Omar Chapra is, you know, someone who is very well known among the Islamic economists. He refuted this. He refuted these two ideas. Next. He points out to the rise of Muslim civilization was actually, as I pointed out just now, was during the time of the Mu'tazila. Why? Why was it that, you know, that we saw this flourishing of Islamic civilization during that time? It was none other because they are the people of reason. They are the rationalists who believe in the rational theory and the rational faculty that could explain everything that is happening in this world, right? And they formulated what we call the methodological way of logical reasoning, right? So then this Dr. Omar Chapra asked, why didn't it continue? Why didn't the Muslim civilization progress on? Next. So this we address in our book, yeah, Basically, I wrote the preface to this book, Tertutupnya Pemikiran Kaum Muslimin, The Closing of Muslim Mind, and you can find the book out there. It basically addressed this particular issue, right? Next. To me, personally, this is my personal assessment. It can be refuted by scholars over here. It can be refuted by you as participants of this forum. But I tend to see that one of the most important problems that is facing Muslims of the 21st century is because of the literal understanding of text. I can spend another hour or two to describe what is meant by this literal understanding of text. But I'll just take one example, which is now very pertinent, right? People are debating now, this current moment, right, about the drinking of the urine of camel. You can just search on YouTube and you will see a lot of videos, people promoting and propagating this drinking of urine of camel. Why? Because there was a hadith, a sahih hadith, reported by many hadith scholars, muhaddithin, Bukhari, At-Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and An-Nasai. So these are among the four most well-known, four of the six most well-known scholars of hadith, right? Or what we know as Kutubul Sittah, right? The 6 books of hadith. I will not go into detail about the hadith, but that hadith was, in essence, saying that there was this group of people who came to Medina and who was not very well acclimatized to the temperature or to the environment of Medina and fell ill. Then they went to see the Prophet, and the Prophet said, go and drink the camel's urine and drink its milk as well. So people took it literally, and people thought that what was mentioned by the Prophet 1,400 years ago is applicable now, and that is based on the literal interpretation of the text itself. We heard now, right? I'm a doctor, medical doctor. We heard about this MERS, right? Middle East Respiratory Syndrome from coronavirus, right? And it's being transmitted from the camels, either from the urine of the camels or the milk, or in fact even the flesh of the camel itself. So WHO, the World Health Organization, had said that we should avoid getting close to camels in order for us to be infected by this MERS coronavirus. Next. And of course, why is this literal understanding of the text? Now, to address this particular problem of the literal understanding of the text, to me, my assessment is that it is based on 2 particular reasons. Okay, one is because after the fall of the Mu'tazila at that time, there was a rise of the Ash'ariyah, right? And Ash'ariyah, to me, it can be refuted by Dr. Amran later on, was the propagators of they are anti-rationalists. The propagators of anti-rationalism, right? And of course, the most influential person among the Ash'arites is none other than al-Ghazali. So he wrote in his magnum opus, Tahafut al-Falasifa, the incoherence of the philosophers, about this doctrine of occasionalism, or what we call in Arabic as al-Iradiyat. This doctrine of occasionalism. What he was trying to say in this doctrine of occasionalism is that if you put a cotton close to a fire, the cotton burns. But the cotton burns not because of the fire, but because God wanted the curtain to burn, either directly by His ordain or through the angels. To me, this doctrine of occasionalism, which was propounded by al-Ghazali, was basically a doctrine that kills all rational and scientific inquiries. Because I, as a man of science, we believe in evidence. We believe that everything is based on evidence. you know, like everything, there is a cause and effect, right? Meaning to say that, you know, in order to quench our thirst, we have to drink. And this coffee basically will, satisfy our thirst. But in the doctrine of occasionalism, it's not because of this tea. It's because of God wanted us to be satisfied after drinking tea. Similarly, because of this doctrine of occasionalism, it also means that God is able to do anything which is beyond science, beyond the scientific or what we call as natural laws. Meaning to say the law of gravity. If we drop a pencil, it drops down. But God, because of His omnipotence, He is able, if I drop this pencil, He is able to basically allow this pencil to levitate or to go somewhere else. So that's the idea. So to me, I'm sorry to say this, but to me, you know, it is against this scientific understanding and scientific evidence. People used to say, why is it so difficult for you? Islam is about faith, right? Religion is about faith, about believing. And faith just requires you believing. And then you become religious, you become Muslim because you have faith. It doesn't require anything else. I tend to disagree with that supposition, right? Because to me, if you say that faith doesn't require any evidence, that is not true from the Quran itself. Because in the Quran, in Surah Al-Imran, for example, there are many, many verses, but I just quote from this Surah Al-Imran, the 3rd chapter of the Quran, which says, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And in the creation of the heavens and the earth, وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, and in the changing of the day and night. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. And you see that these are signs of God for people who think. Meaning to say, by thinking, by using our rational faculty, we will see the signs of God, and that's where we attain our faith. Faith is attained through reason. Faith is not attained through just believing in something which is against reason. There are so many other verses in the Quran, and to me that this is the most important thing that we have to understand. Second, next slide please. And second, to me, and this is where I believe both Prof. Syed and Prof. Kenney will elaborate further, is because the over-reliance of isnad, or the chain of transmission, without due consideration of the matan, or the text of the hadith. You know, hadith to Muslims and to non-Muslims over here, I believe the Muslims understand this, but the non-Muslims, then we have to understand that hadith is basically one hadith, there's a matan, there's a text of the hadith. And then you will say that from Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Prophet said, before Umar came, you know, down until al-Bukhari, for example, right? So that's a chain of transmission is known as isnad. The problem now, right? If you look at the Salafis, for example, right? There is this over-reliance on hadith, authentic hadith. They say that if an isnad is authentic, if the chain of narration is authentic, then a hadith should not be refuted. You get what I'm saying? Meaning to say that if the chain of transmission is correct, even though the matan is somehow illogical, it doesn't matter. Just accept it because it is sahih, it is authentic. There is no reason for us to reject an authentic hadith. And that's the problem that lies with the Muslim nowadays to me. Because if you look at an authentic hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, for example, about a fly that falls into, you know, a glass of water, what did the hadith say? The hadith says, dip dip the fly into the water, right? Because one wing of the fly contains poison and the other one contains the antidote. And you see, I have done this research, I've done this literature search, and I look at, some of this, what they call as scientific research in the Arab world. They're looking into to find the scientific details or the scientific evidence why this is true. This one will definitely contain poison, one will definitely contain antidote, because of this literal understanding of the hadith. I say, even if you accept as a person, as a specialist, I say that even if one of the what you call wing contains antidote and the other wing contains poison, for example, it neutralizes even to the most remote possibility that is true. All right? What about the legs of the flies? It was the legs of the flies that goes into that will basically go into these fecal materials and all kind of things that caused that basically transmitted this typhoid, for example, right? This Salmonella typhi, this bacteria Salmonella typhi that causes typhoid was basically transmitted from the legs of the flies. So can you see the problem? The problem when we put over reliance on the isnad. So we don't look at the matan anymore. So we just look at the isnad. Okay, lo and behold. Having said that, do not say that I'm a Quranist. I am not a Quranist. Okay, please. Someone has mistaken me with the Quranist. That fellow has the same name as me, Farouk. And when somebody wrote an article to rebut the guy, the Quranist, people thought he was rebutting me. I don't belong to the Quranists. I disagree with them totally, right? There's another discussion. We can go about that. But please understand, my position is the same as Muhammad al-Ghazali. You know Muhammad al-Ghazali, right? The Egyptian scholar, right? The modern Egyptian scholar. Next. Okay, I'm going a little bit, just a few more slides, okay? To say that this issue over reliance of text nowadays is because people believe that how we govern a state, for example, right? How we govern a state, there must be certain hadith, right? To say, okay, how do we do with that? What is the mode of the best mode of basically working on this some of the nitty-gritty of managing a state, for example. I want you to look into into the sirah of the Prophet, into what happened during the Prophet's time, during this first battle or Battle of Badr, right? Battle of Badr, during the first battle, the Prophet decided that he wanted to camp, okay, between himself and the opponents on the other side, but there was a source of water in between, right? There was a source of water in between the two camps. So he decided, okay, let's camp over here. But then there was one guy by the name of al-Habab ibn Munzir. This story you can find this story in many books of Sirah, and the most recent book is written by Tariq Ramadan, okay, Professor Tariq Ramadan, in the footsteps of the Prophet. So he mentioned, right, he asked the Prophet, right, was this decision of yours based on wahyu, based on revelation by God, or was it based on ar-ra'i wal-harb wal-makida, opinion and war strategy making? Means that it's just because of your human understanding of what you think is the best option for the Muslim armies to camp. And the Prophet says, no, it was based on my own opinion. It was not based on revelation. Then he said to the Prophet, I am a person who has more experience in wars during the time of Jahiliyyah. I do not think that your idea of camping over here is the correct decision. To me, you have to camp beyond the source of water so that you will deny the opponents from getting the source of water, close to the source of water. Meaning to say that even the companions of the Prophet disagreed with the Prophet on worldly matters. That's what I'm trying to say. So in worldly matters, it's okay if we have our own opinion, which we think is correct. Even in 20th century, we have to come up with this idea. This common idea is being coined by Rashid Ghanouchi, all right, in what he said as two spheres of life. One is ad-dini, a smaller circle, ad-dini, which actually encompasses our ibadah to God and so on and so forth, you know, our alms. But there are larger circle, right, which is he called as as-siyasi, the political, the profane, right? Just now is ad-dini, which is the sacred, right? Something that the religious and the sacred, that you have to follow. The revelation by the Prophet, because that's why he was sent to you. But then there was a larger circle, as-siyasi, which you have to basically utilize your own rational faculty. Next. And this is the book that we are going to launch in March, early March, with the author himself, Dr. Azam Tamimi. He has already purchased his flight ticket. He is going to be over here, and I would like you to come over here and listen to this lecture by Dr. Azam Tamimi. And he written this book, Rashid Ghanouchi, a Democrat within Islamism, right? Because of his particular idea. So with that, I think I would like to open this and to invite Professor Jeffrey Kenney to deliver his speech, and then to the other two panelists. Thank you.